The job listing was simple. Too simple. Caretaker needed for an empty house. No residents. No pets. Just routine checks. I remember thinking the quiet would be good for me. The house sat at the edge of town, where streetlights stopped bothering to follow the road. Tall trees leaned inward, their branches tangled like they'd been whispering to each other for years. From the outside, it looked peaceful. That should have been my first warning. The owner never showed up. We spoke only once over the phone. Their voice was calm, polite, distant. They told me I'd be alone. They stressed that part more than anything. Inside, the house smelled unused. Not dirty, just still. Furniture was covered in white sheets. Every footstep echoed longer than it should have. The silence felt practiced. I was told to stay for 7 nights. Check doors. Check windows. Make sure nothing broke or leaked. No surprises, the owner said. I believed them. The first night passed easily. Too easily. I cooked, walked through the rooms, locked the doors. Nothing moved. Nothing sounded wrong. I slept deeply without dreams. The second night was when I noticed the house reacted to sound. When I closed a door, something far away closed too. When I walked down the hallway, the floor answered back. Not with creaks, but with timing. I told myself old houses do that. They shift. They settle. Still, I lowered my voice after that, without knowing why. On the third night, I spoke out loud, just to break the quiet. Feels strange being here alone, I said. My voice sounded smaller than I expected. Something in the house responded. Not with sound, but with attention. I stood still, listening. No footsteps. No whispers. Just the feeling that the house was now aware of me. The way a room feels after someone else enters it. That was the moment I stopped calling it an empty house. It wasn't empty. It was waiting. By the 4th day, the house knew my routine. Morning checks. Afternoon quiet. Evening lights on, one by one. I hadn't told anyone my schedule. Still, the house followed it. I began finding doors unlocked. Doors I remembered locking. Not wide open, just slightly ajar. As if someone had checked inside. And left quietly. The windows were worse. Every morning, one curtain would be pulled back. Never the same window twice. Never fully open. Just enough to look out. Or look in. I started documenting everything. Times, rooms, changes. The notebook filled faster than it should have. Some entries I didn't remember writing. At night, the house grew closer. The silence pressed against my ears. Walls seemed nearer than before. Rooms felt smaller, tighter. I stopped turning off lights. Darkness felt too confident. On the 5th night, footsteps followed mine. Always one step behind. Perfectly timed. When I stopped, they stopped. When I turned, nothing was there. I tried to test it. I dropped my keys on purpose. Metal clattered loudly. A moment later, a soft metallic sound echoed back from upstairs. That was when fear became practical. I moved slower. I spoke less. I avoided mirrors. I stopped thinking of the house as a place. It was a listener now. Sleep became shallow. Every creak woke me. Every pause felt intentional. Sometimes I dreamed I was standing still, while the house moved around me. On the 6th day, I found a chair placed in the hallway. It hadn't been there before. I was sure of it. Faced my bedroom door. Centered. Waiting. I didn't touch it. I walked around it. Carefully. Behind me, the floor creaked. Not from movement but from relief. That evening, the owner called. Their voice sounded pleased. Almost proud. Good, they said. It's getting comfortable with you. I asked what they meant. There was a pause. Long enough to feel deliberate. You're doing exactly what the house needs, they said softly. When the call ended, the line stayed warm in my hand. And somewhere inside the house, something shifted, like a satisfied breath. That night, I understood the job. I wasn't guarding the house. I wasn't maintaining it. I was keeping it company. The 7th night arrived quietly. No warnings. No strange sounds. No misplaced objects. The calm felt intentional, like the house was holding its breath. I decided to leave the house for a short walk. Just 5 minutes. Just to feel air that didn't belong to the walls. The front door opened easily. Too easily. When I stepped outside, the night felt wrong. The air was warm, but unmoving. The trees stood frozen. No insects, no wind. The silence followed me. I walked to the end of the driveway. Every step felt heavier than the last. Like the ground wanted me closer to the house. I turned back earlier than planned. The front door was closed. I was certain I'd left it open. Certain enough that my chest tightened. I tried the handle. Locked. I checked my keys. Still in my pocket. I unlocked the door slowly. The lock clicked louder than it should have. Inside, the house felt pleased. The chair in the hallway had moved. It was closer to my room now. Turned slightly. Adjusted. That night, the house tested sound. When I coughed, it echoed once. When I cleared my throat, it echoed twice. When I whispered my own name, the house whispered it back. I didn't sleep. I sat on the edge of the bed. Lights on. Door closed. Something stood on the other side. Not touching the door. Waiting. Minutes stretched into hours. The handle never turned. The floor never creaked. The waiting was worse than movement. Just before morning, the pressure lifted. The air loosened. The silence thinned. I opened the door. The hallway was empty. In the kitchen, I found a new note on the counter. Not in my handwriting. Not written with my pen. It said only one thing. Thank you for staying. My phone rang immediately after. The owner again. Same calm voice. You see now, they said. The house doesn't like being alone. I asked what happened to the last caretaker. The pause this time was longer. Heavier. They stayed too. The owner replied. After the call ended, I realized something terrifying. The house hadn't tested me to scare me. It tested me to measure me. And I had passed. That night, I didn't feel watched. I felt accompanied. I packed my bag before sunrise. Not in a rush. Not in panic. Just quietly. Like someone trying not to wake a sleeping thing. The house felt different that morning. Not heavy. Not tense. Comfortable. Like it already knew what I planned, and wasn't worried. I reached for the front door. My hand stopped inches from the handle. Not because it moved. Not because it locked. Because I suddenly couldn't remember why I wanted to leave. That scared me more than the whispers. Fear I could fight. Confusion I could question. But comfort disarmed me. I stepped away from the door. The relief was immediate. Warm. Gentle. The house rewarded stillness. I searched the house one last time. The attic. The basement. The rooms I was told to ignore. Nothing chased me. Nothing hid. In the basement, I found the truth. Photographs on the wall. Caretakers. Decades of them. Different faces. Same posture. Same calm eyes. Every photo had a date underneath. No death dates. No endings. Just start dates. At the center was an empty frame. Clean. Waiting. With today's date written beneath it. I understood then. The house doesn't trap you. It doesn't hunt you. It replaces you. Caretakers don't disappear. They stay. They blend. They become part of the quiet that keeps the house alive. That night, I slept deeply for the first time. No whispers. No shadows. Just rest. In the morning, a photograph appeared in the frame. Me. Standing in the hallway. Calm. Content. The owner never called again. There's no need. The house handles everything now. Sometimes, people walk past the property. They pause. They stare. They say the place feels peaceful. If you ever see a listing for a caretaker job, and the pay feels too generous, and the rules feel too simple, keep walking, because the house is no longer lonely, and I'm no longer trying to leave.